Welcome to the Kitsap Matters podcast. In each episode, we discuss the people, places, and things that make Kitsap County unique, covering local entertainment, restaurants, business, government, and anything else we find interesting, troubling, or just plain amusing. This is a community-focused podcast, but sometimes financial topics do arise, and since the host is a licensed financial professional, we have to include the following disclosure in every episode. The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it's in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Kevin Campbell is an investment advisor representative of and advisory services offered through USA Financial Securities, a registered investment advisor located at 6020 East Fulton Street, Ada, Michigan, 49301. Peaks Financial is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Welcome. On this episode of the Kitsap Matters podcast, we're excited to introduce Jessica Jetter, a dedicated attorney committed to providing comprehensive legal support across a range of practice areas, including workers' compensation, personal injury, and estate planning. With a proven track record of advocating for her clients' rights, Jessica strives to deliver personalization and effective legal solutions that truly make a difference. Whether she's helping clients navigate the complexities of workplace injury claims, securing justice for those affected by negligence, or providing compassionate guidance in estate planning, Jessica's dedication and experience shine through. So, Jessica, thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, as we mentioned at the beginning of every show, if you're familiar with Peaks Financial, then you've probably heard of our what we call the SAIL formula. The SAIL formula is the system that we use to manage the financial planning process for our clients. It's all about the key components of our planning philosophy. So in the name SAIL formula, we capitalize the first four letters of the word formula, F-O-R-M, and they represent family, occupation, recreation, and money. It's all about what matters most and what you can control. So what's also fun about our planning approach is that it provides a great outline for interviews like this. So let's jump right into it. Jessica, again, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
So, as I just outlined in the intro there, we're going to kind of follow this the family, occupation, recreation, and money conversation. So you're obviously one of our go-to resources for estate planning. You and I share quite a few clients.
Right.
So, but we're going to start off with family. So tell me the Jessica origin story. A little bit about you, a little bit about your family, and I know you have a youngster.
I do. Yeah, so I'm from the Kingston area originally, so from Kitsap. Came back here for my practice after, University of Washington for undergrad and Portland, Lewis and Clark for law school. And the community is just really special to me. I love being here, and I'm so happy that I was able to open my practice here. And my family and I live in Kingston. We actually ended up purchasing the home that I grew up in, so that's
pretty
special.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And my dad actually helped build it too. So my parents were looking to sort of retire and downsize around the time that we were looking to buy, so it really worked out.
Oh, that's a win.
Yeah, it's an absolute win for everybody. It's pretty great. So yeah, and I do have a 21-month-old at home, and she's just a real little firecracker. She's so much fun. So I try to spend any free time I have kind of with her and hanging out with her and my husband and my family, and it's nice to have everybody in the area. So.
That's awesome. So. So you grew up in the area. So as far as like family, who would you say in your family had the biggest impact on who you are today?
Oh, the biggest impact. Well, my parents both, were just really, really wonderful growing up and just raised me to be, I feel like, pretty confident and to feel like really anything was possible. They actually started out as both, in the fishing industry when they met, and then they ended up going back to school for nursing when they were like 50. So just total, career change. My dad worked as a woodworker for a while. My mom worked as a real estate agent. So they've just done so many different things during their career and kind of made me feel like anything's possible.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
As you think about the professional path you chose, is there a family member who inspired you to go down that path?
Not really, no. My parents do say that when I was little, I used to say that I wanted to be an attorney. I don't have any recollection of that. I remember saying that I wanted to be a librarian, so I don't know where this came from. But,
slight differences.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really kind of a realization that I came to in college at University of Washington. I just started taking some classes on environmental policy type stuff, and really got interested in the law that way. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So let's kind of transition a little bit into that occupation. So tell me about that journey, about where, how you made that shift and started heading for the field of law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually went to UW originally thinking that I wanted to pursue a career in medicine. I was really interested in neurobiology and that type of thing, so I was like, maybe a neurosurgeon. And so, I took that 700-person, Gen Chem class for all pre-med students at UW, and just did not like the atmosphere of that very much. It was extremely cutthroat, and at the same time I ended up taking a class on environmental policy, so this was my first quarter at UW, and absolutely loved that class.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, this is much more, and of course I did really well in it too, so that helped to just say, these are where my skills are, and this is also kind of where my interest lies. So really kind of pursued that from undergrad. Worked in a law firm after undergrad, just making sure, worked as a legal assistant, really thinking I want to see what it's really like to be a lawyer, and to see if this is what I want to invest my time and money in. Turns out it was, so continued
awesome.
on that path. Yeah.
What do you like most about, what's the most enjoyable part about being an attorney? And because you practice several different areas of law.
Right.
You do estate planning,
Mm-hmm.
which is where you and I do a lot of work together.
Right.
You do personal injury.
Yep.
You do quite a few. You do
Yep.
workman's comp, that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you like most about being an attorney?
Yeah, so my favorite thing about being an attorney is being able to sit down with people and learn their stories, and see basically how I can help. And that's really what turned me to, estate planning and these other areas of law versus big, large-scale environmental law. I still care very much about environmental law, but working with these, large-scale nonprofits, you don't get that interaction with people, and you don't really get to, just sit down and learn about folks. So that's really my favorite thing is learning people's stories. I also, really love the strategizing, and just kind of the puzzling that's required for,
Mm-hmm.
Estate planning type work. So yeah.
What do you think is the most challenging part of it?
So the most challenging part, is honestly probably, and especially this can be the case with estate planning, and for some really difficult, personal injury cases as well, where the client might not make it through, kind of something like that. But losing really dear clients, I would say, is a really hard part of it for me. Is I just, I get really attached to my clients, and I love them, and it's hard when you don't get to see them anymore. So
yeah. I've lost a few over the years too,
and
it's always tough.
Yeah.
When a client passes away,
Mm-hmm.
that's never any fun.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? So that's like the biggest challenge. What do you think the biggest misconception about being an attorney is?
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, and some of them are true, I will say, but but unfortunately, some attorneys.
Ergo, that's not a misconception then.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I will say it's a misconception for all attorneys. But for instance, there's so much mistrust, I think, of attorneys and some attorneys do, create this, perception that people then kind of assume it's a thing for all attorneys. But yeah, there are some untrustworthy attorneys out there.
There's some bad eggs in every field.
Yeah,
right?
there's some bad attorneys out there. So I feel like, and there's a lot of very serious attorneys out there, so I feel like a couple of the things people are surprised about when they come to me, when they've had experience with other attorneys is, first of all, I'm very approachable. We end up laughing a lot in consultations and stuff like that with clients. Of course, not for the serious stuff, but for something that we can make light, why not? And so I think clients are surprised to kind of see that they can be, themselves and have fun, and they don't have to be serious.
Attorney with a personality.
Right. And they also don't have to feel like, they're being taken advantage of or something like that. So.
What do you think, so a conversation we have with almost everybody when it comes to the profession is, and one of the hot topics these days, right? AI.
Yeah.
So how do you see technology and how do you see your industry changing over time. And I'll give you a little context. One of the things we've talked about here is like in my world, AI is helping us be more efficient in some areas, but it's not. It's a research tool. It's an addition. And now AI is moving very quickly, but even still, I don't see it replacing us because even though it has, as we talked about, it has artificial intelligence. It has no emotional intelligence, and it can't understand nuance.
Yeah.
And make recommendations based upon that. So what do you see is happening in your field these days? I mean, your field is still, in many ways, still kind of. I want to use the term archaic, but maybe not moving as fast.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's still a lot of attorneys out there that use paper files and that type of thing. So I am so excited about AI. Honestly, we've just implemented a new file management system that does rely heavily on AI for admin and those kind of simple tasks. So it's really just streamlined a lot of our work and a lot of the client intake stuff. So I'm really excited about the potential for AI in our field. It definitely has its limitations, and especially right now it does. There's just, you can't write a brief with AI, really. I mean, you could do an initial... I
actually was telling this story earlier in one of the other podcast episodes about, I heard there was an attorney who used AI to do his case brief or whatever that's called, and that it had made up some case law.
Yep, it does. Yeah, it does. So
wow, and I'm guessing it didn't go over real well from what I heard. It didn't sound like it went real well.
So that's obviously a huge mistake. I mean, there certainly is, if you're using it for first drafts of documents or something like that, and especially if it's a closed universe system. So if you're using a legal research software specifically, where it's only researching within, it's only pulling from that data, then that might be a good place to get a first draft going, right? But then you got to go back and check everything yourself. So it's not like, people who are relying on that.
It's a research assistant. That's the way we view it as a research assistant.
Absolutely. So ultimately it may cut down some of the job openings for first year attorneys, honestly, or maybe for some of the admin positions, but I honestly just see it as a really helpful tool in our
I kind of view it as like a really fast intern.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because I still have to go back and double check all of it, right? And make sure that it was all done correctly. But it can help put together that content and find those resources much quicker.
Right.
So, so what does your schedule look like as an attorney? I mean, do are you burning the midnight hours or burning midnight oil?
Not these days, no. I try to keep a healthy work-life balance, and so I keep my weekends free. There of course are crunch times when we're going into trial or something like that, where we might have to do a little extra prep, a little extra work. But most of the time, I try to make sure that I'm spending time with my family as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Speaking of, before I get on to other topics, while we're talking about occupation, where can people find you? Because it just occurred to me we didn't actually mention the law firm you're with.
Sure, yeah.
And all that intro stuff, we didn't actually manage to get the firm name squeezed in there.
That's all right. Big teaser. So I'm with Bryan and Jetter, PLLC, and so we are located now on Anderson Hill in Silverdale. So it's 3500 Anderson Hill Road, and we also our website is currently under construction, but bnj.law is our website.
bnj.law. Okay, yeah. Awesome. So, all right. So now we're going to shift into recreation. Right? We've talked family, we've talked occupation. Now we're headed to recreation. So when you're, so you mentioned you have a 21-month-old, so that keeps you super busy. When you're not chasing toddlers or helping people with legal issues, what are you into? You're into sports or the arts or food, or where might we catch you enjoying your free time?
Yeah, so my biggest pastime used to be rock climbing. So when I lived when I lived in the Bay Area, I would go out to Yosemite and just Bishop and out there and do a lot of rock climbing, bouldering mostly. So that used to take up a lot of my free time. More recently, it's ultramarathoning. So so I love running distances. I'm not super fast, but I just enjoy the 30 30 or so miles is usually like a good distance for me, and just kind of enjoy the meditative quality of that. And so yeah, those are kind of the things that I enjoy. Nowadays I don't have as much time for like long runs like that, so I'm doing a little bit more just weightlifting and that kind of thing.
I've got a book I'm going to give you before you leave.
Excellent. Thank you.
On ultramarathon.
Wonderful.
I met the author at an event.
Oh, wow.
It was a really interesting story, and I'm guessing you'll know his name. I can't think of his name right now, but he's like a big name in the ultramarathoning world.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And what about with the kid? What are you doing with the kid these days?
Yeah, so our favorite thing to do is just kind of go on little hikes together or go to little cafes or, you know, she does.
That's a fun age.
Yeah, it's so fun. Everything's so exciting to her, and she loves our little local cafes.
The magic of that age, of like everything's just magical to them, right?
Absolutely.
They're like, they're so amazed by the world.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
That's super cool.
It is, yeah.
So, all right, so now we'll shift into money. So, as we think about money, who or what has been the biggest influence in your life as far as financial management?
I would say my husband actually, who's
Really?
just kind of an annoying, like traditional gender role thing to say, but my husband just sort of has a passion for, you know, managing our money and making sure, you know, things go to the right places and all that, and he's actually kind of taught me. I wouldn't say that my parents were the most financially savvy growing up. They were absolutely wonderful and they did so much for us, but they just didn't have that, you know, education from their parents.
No, most people don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not really something.
Very few people do.
Yeah, it's not really something I knew, you know, intuitively growing up. I was always, you know, pretty careful with spending my money and all that. But, you know, for instance, like you know, when I had all these student loans, and you know, my initial instinct was just to pay them off right away, right? It's just like I want to be out of debt. And my husband's like, well, if you know, look at the difference between that interest rate versus like what you would, you know, get from the stock market and that kind of thing, like it might be worth, you know, waiting on those repayments a little more and investing some money, and it's just kind of thing I would never have thought about. Right. So yeah, it's just, you know, even with the education he has, it's just kind of, you know, handy to know those things.
Yeah, that's emotional decisions versus mathematical decisions.
Exactly.
Which is totally normal, and people. But, you know, that's one of the keys to financial management is not making emotional decisions, making mathematical decisions. Is very, very important. Unfortunately, most people make emotional decisions.
Right. Yeah.
So so do you remember when you bought your first investment and what it was? Do you even remember?
So, I mean, our first major investment was definitely our home, which was in 2020. I mean, that was just the first, you know, really, I mean, obviously you know, we have a big mortgage and all that, so it's a big thing to us. So yeah, I'd say that was our first major investment. I mean, before that, of course, there's law school and undergrad and all that, so there's more educational expenses, but yeah.
So you've spent most of your life just waving goodbye at money.
Pretty much, yeah.
It just kind of passes through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was actually able to save up for my first year at UW by working at a local cafe in high school. So, awesome. So the first year, you know, there wasn't as much money going up, but after that, it's like, yeah, it's all those. So.
Right. Yeah. They add up quick.
Yeah.
So, as far as like the finance industry and financial services, what do you think that the financial services world could do better? As we talk about money, one of the big things people say all the time is education. Right? That's obviously a huge one. And you know, the challenges, and people say all the time, hey, they should teach this in high school and all that kind of stuff, and I agree completely. But at the same time, it's stuff that most people don't want to hear until, you know, when you're 18, are you going to worry about what you should be doing with money when you're 40?
Right, probably not.
Probably not, right? So education is a huge piece that I hear a lot of. What do you think the financial services world could do better?
I mean, besides education, like you said, I think communicating the value of that service really, like, I think people don't even realize how much they're missing out on by, you know, not having that knowledge and not having somebody kind of, you know, on their team if they don't have an advisor. And so I think that's just a really big piece of it is not knowing that. Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who don't have advisors, and there's a lot of people out there who say don't need an advisor.
Right.
I've mentioned this before, and this will totally resonate with your world, is what's that saying about representing yourself
Oh,
Isn't it,
pro se or
yeah, the person who has themselves as an attorney has a fool for a client.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've used that a lot in my world as well, because I think it's the exact same thing. And I'm guessing you would agree. Like if I was fighting a parking ticket in court, I probably don't need to hire an attorney.
No. Yeah.
But if I'm dealing with real money or my freedom, I'd be an idiot to represent myself. And I think that's very true in the financial world as well. It's true in the legal world, true in the financial world, true in the tax world.
Right.
For all of those things, because if the stakes are low, go for it. But if the stakes are high, your financial future, your personal freedoms, your whatever, then it's I think it is well worth seeking out those professionals.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
So awesome. So best kept secret in Kitsap County.
I would say the Port Gamble trails. Some people do know about the Port Gamble trails. Some people go there for biking and all that. Great Shan trail hunting if anyone's into that. But I just love, I've done so many runs out there, and I just love that space. It's just such an amazing, so close to home, but it feels like you're so far away. So I just love that space. Yeah.
It is a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that we have so much outdoor stuff that a lot of people in other parts of the country have to travel hours or maybe states away to find the kind of recreation that we have right here, literally just a few minutes away.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, so as we're wrapping up the episode here, is there anything else you want to add? A tip for people, an offer for people, or anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think that it's really important to, like you said, it is important to, if you need assistance from an attorney, to reach out. I do offer, free consultations, and I think it's just if you're thinking about updating your estate plan, or if you don't have an estate plan, it's worth just checking in to see if it's something, I can help you with. Same with, personal injury and workers' comp. If you're dealing with one of those claims on your own, you shouldn't have to. I'm here for you, and I'd be happy to help you out.
So, which actually brings a point. We should mention this because a lot of people are not aware of this. Is the punitive measures of our Washington estate taxes. It's one of the worst estate taxes in the country. And it's a state estate tax, not the federal tax. And you want to talk about that for a minute and tell people where that kicks in, and maybe a couple of tips on what things they should be looking for?
Yeah, so if your net worth is sort of over the $2 million mark, in that range, then you're going to be looking
which includes house,
your house,
retirement accounts,
exactly,
death benefit of life insurance proceeds,
even
all of your
personal property items, everything added together. And if it's over that, then you're looking at, that's where the Washington estate tax kicks in, and it's really simple to avoid that and to get a lot more tax protection with an estate plan. So when people are over that, it's really worth chatting with an attorney to see what you can do at a relatively low cost to avoid some pretty serious tax implications. Again, we have one of the most punitive estate taxes in the country here in Washington State, and as you just mentioned, we refer to it as an optional tax. Yes, it is. Absolutely. If you don't know about it, it can get you. And in an area where $1 million houses are literally everywhere, it's really not that hard to hit it's 2.195, I think, right now, million, right in that realm. It's really not that hard in this area to hit a $2 million net worth. There's a lot of people who have them. If you're in the middle of some other states elsewhere, you won't see net worth like here, but because a lot of it's real estate values and things like that here. But if you've done a good job of planning for your retirement, you've got a house, you've got some retirement accounts and all that, you may have a taxable estate. And I've met people who had significant estates who were completely unaware, completely unaware that this was even a thing. They're like, I asked them, I'm like, so what's your plan for the? I've actually had people who have federally taxable estates. Oh wow! Who weren't even aware of, who were completely off the radar of. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm going to, federally taxable and state taxable completely? And I'm like, wow, okay.
So it's something that catches a lot of people off guard.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know about it, it can get you, and it can be incredibly expensive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Huge deficit to the heirs potentially. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You might not care because you're dead.
Right.
But
right.
your
But
heirs,
you want to pass that on to your kid.
Yeah,
exactly. And you want you want to make sure that your estate goes to the places you want it to go. You don't want surprise inheritors like the state.
Well, exactly.
Federal
And it's just also it's another thing. Not just making sure your money goes where you want it to. It's also making sure you're not leaving a mess for the people who have to clean it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so true.
And we've seen a lot of that over the years too, is people who don't have a well done estate plan, and their heirs end up spending a lot of time and resources. They're already in mourning over losing their family member, and now they have all this additional workload of trying to clean up a disorganized estate.
Right.
Which is no fun for anybody.
No.
So, all right. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I'm just
Awesome.
so happy that thanks for having me for this podcast.
Absolutely. It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap another edition of the Kitsap Matters podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. This is a community-focused podcast, but sometimes financial topics do arise, and since the host is a licensed financial professional, we have to include the following disclosure in every episode. The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it's in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Kevin Campbell is an investment advisor representative of and advisory services offered through USA Financial Securities, a registered investment advisor located at 6020 East Fulton Street, Ada, Michigan, 49301. Peaks Financial is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities.